The suburban life is a spiritual quest. And what I mean by that is whenever people talk about suburbia, they talk about their hopes and dreams for the future, their longings for their lives. And when you look at new development especially, people are moving to these areas not for what is there. There is no history, there is no past community. You think in terms of suburbia as the context for new beginnings and fresh starts and the opportunity for a second chance. I decided to write the Suburban Christian because I've always lived in suburbia. I grew up in suburbia, I live in the suburbs now, and a few years ago I started to wonder, how does suburbia shape me in ways that I don't even understand? And more significantly, how has suburbia shaped my Christian faith? Sometimes people ask if suburbia is good or bad, and it's both. When suburbia started, it was a place where people could live farther away from hazardous industrial work areas. It used to be that you lived in these overcrowded tenements in the shadow of smokestacks and factories. So it was a dangerous, unhealthy place. And so residential suburbs were created some miles away from the factories in order to give people better places to live. So it was improved public health. But the unintended consequence of that was that it created a commuter culture. Much of suburbia is actually built with cars in mind. There are a lot of places in suburbia that you can't even be a pedestrian, even if you want to be. There aren't sidewalks built. Everything depends on the automobile. And so suburban areas, often people are commuting up to an hour and a half every day in their car. That's 3 weeks a year spent in the car. And the average suburban household generates 13 car trips a day. We are impacted by suburban commuter culture in that we often live and work and worship and shop in different suburbs. And what this does is that it disintegrates us. It fragments our lives into these different realms. And so something that we can do to reverse the challenges of commuter culture, we can recover a parish mindset. We can centralize our lives so our work and our church and everything takes place in a smaller sphere, so that if you live and work and shop and worship all in the same community, you reintegrate your life. You have more overlap in these different communities and you're not as fragmented. One of the challenges of living in suburbia is that there almost is no other alternative except to be a consumer. The opposite of consumption is production. And so one spiritual discipline that we can practice is the discipline of creativity. We don't usually think of creativity as a spiritual discipline, but instead of buying something at the mall or at the store, see if you can make it yourself one way or another. I think that suburban churches should have 3 spheres of ministry: suburban, urban, and global. And so a church should focus on its immediate local community, but then also it should seek the welfare of the larger metropolis. It's not that we just sit in our suburban bubble and only care about ourselves, it's that we also are concerned about the larger city. I see them as part of a metropolitan whole. Suburban Christians have a choice. We can either choose a self-centered suburbanism, or suburban Christians can choose an other-centered suburbanism, in which we live for the benefit of others. We practice simplicity and generosity and hospitality and community, and we herald the presence of the kingdom of God. I hope that readers of this book will choose that kind of suburban Christianity.